I was always a stand-up comedian. I was lucky enough to get a TV show. But if you know anything about television, sometimes it lasts 13 weeks, sometimes it lasts 22 years. You don't know. So I always performed, I always made my living as a stand-up comedian, and I was on the road every weekend when I was doing the Tonight Show just to try to keep sharp and stuff. So once it ended, it wasn't like one of these, you know, I have all these friends, they have sitcoms, and the sitcom, and suddenly they can't get a table in a restaurant, nobody knows who they are, and they freak out. But nothing really changed for me. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was the greatest job ever for 22 years. But we ended on a Thursday, and Friday, next day, I was back on the road. So it wasn't like a big change. Yeah.
Where do you get the time? I mean, you've got Jay Leno's Garage that has just had overwhelming success.
Yeah, that's going good. Yeah. I like to work. I don't know. I'm not, I'm a huge believer in low self-esteem. I think it's the key to success, you know. When you have low self-esteem, you listen, you don't think you're the smartest person in the room. You know, like when I got the Tonight Show, I hired what I thought were the best people, and I let them do their job. And they could come up to you and go, Jay, the show sucked last night. It did? Yeah, you were terrible. Well, thank you. Okay, now I can fix it. You don't have to, I have all my friends that people have to dance around them because their egos. It's really the key. You just shut up, listen, do your job.
And do you think, you know, is that what's got this kid from Andover, Massachusetts to where you are now?
Well, I think so. It's worked up to this point. You know, I'm dyslexic, so my mother always say, you know, you're going to have to work twice as hard as the other kids to get the same thing. And that seemed like a fair trade-off to me, so I didn't mind that.
Yeah, and, you know, going from late-night television back on the road, I mean, you stayed on the road during the Tonight Show.
Right.
But now you're back doing this, you know, on a cross-country tour right now. What's the difference? What's it like to be back?
Well, on the Tonight Show, it's kind of fun because you do new jokes in the same place every night. On the road, you do the same jokes in a different place every night. And each one has its advantage. On the Tonight Show, oh, you're the first one out there with a joke about whatever it is. But that joke really just has a shelf life of 2 or 3 days. When you're on the road, you can tell a story one way on Monday. Let me change it. And by the time Friday comes, you've done it 3 or 4 times. Now you've got it down a little bit better. So they're both great fun. I mean, the monologue to me was the most fun part of the Tonight Show because you're just commenting on stuff that literally happened on the 11 o'clock news a half hour before, you know.
Yeah, and on your way across the country, at least in this tour, have you picked up any stories so far? There's always got to be some city that's, you know, just kind of been a hoot to be in.
Well, I mean, it is, you know, the odd thing about, I was in Milwaukee and I was playing a casino, and the casino had no hotel. So they said, okay, we're going to get your hotel down. So I finished about 1:30 at night because there were 2 shows. And we drive downtown, and we go down an alley, and I get there, and a guy opens the door. Oh, come on up, and I go up to the room. Okay. So I spend the night. Next night, I said, well, let me go walk around Milwaukee. So I got my key. So I walk out the door, and I'm walking, and I got about 6 blocks going this way, going that way. Then I realize, I don't know the name of the hotel I'm staying in. So I look at my key, and there's a picture of a woman in a spa, you know, like this, but there's no name of the hotel. So I'm like, oh, what do I do here, you know? So I see 2 cops in a car, you know, and I go, excuse me, officers, which way are the hotels? Which hotel? You know, I don't really know the name. You know where you're staying? Well, no. And so I'm talking, and I hear that cop go, we have an elderly gentleman here. He's confused about where he is. I think we're at a 519. I'll go, no, it's not a 519. I came in the back. You know, it's so stupid. So the cops said, we'll get in the car. So he tell me, is this a hotel? I go, no, that's not it. Then the second one, oh, that's the lobby. Oh, this is it. Thanks, guys. But I mean, it was so stupid. Just, we got an elderly gentleman here. Seems confused, a little lost. Okay, that's a 519. All right, Bob. You know, and I'm like, no, I'm not a 519. I'm just, I didn't know the hotel. Yeah. So, I mean, that's what's fun about the road. That's why I travel by myself. You know, I have so many friends that do this, and they're insulated with road crews, and funny things don't happen to them, you know.
Yeah. And, you know, you've been doing this since the mid-'70s. Why you still do it? You've had a huge successful career.
Well, I mean, it's fun, and the pay is pretty good, you see. I mean, it's fun to think of a joke and try it out. Yeah. You know, just to try it out somewhere. I mean, I saw something on the news the other night, I don't know if this is funny. I'm able to try it tonight. It said that the MGM Grand, 7.6 billion was gambled at the MGM Grand on the Super Bowl. And every bet was paid off within 3 hours. The 3 hours after the game was over. I mean, no COVID, no supply chain economic. Same newscast. Oh, your tax returns could be delayed 8 to 12 weeks, your tax refunds. I'm thinking, why don't we get the MGM Grand to do the tax returns? I mean, they did $7.6 billion in 3 hours. Doesn't that make sense? You know, and I mean, so it's fun to think of things like that, and then run out and stage and try it and see it if it works. I mean, it's horrible if it doesn't work, but that's the fun part. Yeah.
And of course, we can't talk to Jay Leno without talking about the cars. 180
Yeah.
plus cars.
Well, I like cars. You know, when you work with your hands, it makes you appreciate how easy it is to talk for a living. Like you say, why do you do it? Well, I've taken transmissions out, and your hand's all bleeding, and you got acetone in the transmission, everybody else in your hand, you know, and you think, some guy made $80 for doing this. Then you go out and you know, my favorite, I'm not going to say who it was, but a huge star was on my show one day, a male star. And during the break, because Jay, you know cars, what's a cool sports car to get? I want to get a sports car. I said, well, I mean, this new Ferrari that came out is pretty unbelievable. And this guy goes, yeah, but everybody's got a Ferrari. I go, okay, first of all, everyone does not have a Ferrari. If you ever said that publicly, you will be taken out on the street, you'll be beaten, you'll be killed. I said, you got to get out of town more. Okay, everyone does not. Most people have never even seen a Ferrari. Okay, and it just made me laugh that he had this, no, everybody's got a Ferrari. No, they don't. They don't have a Ferrari. And so you got to get out into the real world before you go crazy.
And what I love about your collection is, you know, when you think a lot about collectors, they're going for that very rare piece, but you've got so many cars in your collection.
No, it's the More Money Than Brains Club. It doesn't make any sense. I like old Corvairs. I like pickup trucks. I like Duesenbergs. I have some fancy cars. And then cars that just have a story. You know, I had a lady call me. She was 94 years old. So I get this phone call. Jay Leno, I got a car I want you to come look at. What is it? A 51 Hudson Hornet. My husband and I bought it new in 51, and we drove it from New Jersey with our kids to come here, and he died in 96. This is in the 2000s, you know. I said, you know, I already got a 53 Hudson. She goes, will we just come look at it, please? All right. So I go out there, and it's in the garage with 4 flat tires. She's got one of those, every week she goes out and dusts it off, you know. It was pretty worn out. It was the only car they had. And she said, well, would you buy it, please? All right, so I buy it, right? So I get it back to my garage. It takes us about 2 years to get it all fixed up and painted. And well, let me call the lady, see if she's still alive. Now she's 96. Oh yeah, oh Jay. I said, you want to come for a ride? Oh yeah. Well, I got to get my hair done. She goes and she's got no hearing aid, no glasses. She looks like she's 58. She's 96. She goes, can the kids come? Can the kids come for a ride too? I said, sure. Well, the kids were 72 and 74. All right. So I go out to see him, and the kids have got her blindfolded in the driveway, and she feels the car like this, right? Yeah. I said, well, take off the blindfold. Oh, now she starts crying because it looks nice. Well, let's get in the ride. So the kids get in the back. So her and I are talking, and then the 72-year-old, 74-year-old start doing this to each other, poking each other. So she turns, I told you two to behave. And she's just slapping the crap out of, I mean, really hitting them like this. And the 3 of them are laughing. Mr. Leno was nice enough to take it to ride, and you kids can't sit still for 10 minutes? And she just beating them in the face. Their faces are red. They're laughing so hard to be beat by this woman. And I thought it was just a great experience, you know. And every time I take that car out, it makes me smile because she died at 106. But it just made me smile because I just remember her just whacking them, and the 3 of them, you know. And the kids told me when they were in high school, they were so ashamed their dad's car was a 51 back in the 60s. They would have their dad drop them like 3 blocks from the high school, then they walk the rest of the way. You know, just stupid kid stuff like that. But I mean, that's what it gives the car just some personality and some flavor. It makes it fun, you know.
Yeah, and everybody's got the car they're always chasing. For you, what is that car?
Well, I'm not chasing. I'm usually stuck by the side of the road trying to get a gun running again. Nothing at this point. I mean, I kind of, you know, got everything I want. It's just trying to keep everything running, you know. Yeah. But every now and then a car comes along with a great story, and that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, I love, you know, that's I like that about your collection. You know, it's more about the story, and that is pretty admirable.
Yeah, and especially in America, people are so tied to cars with Yeah, well, I mean, one car I have, you know, when Johnny Carson back in '82 did a special called Johnny Goes Home. He went back to Nebraska. And Johnny's father bought a '39 Chrysler, brand new in '39. And there's like 8mm footage of Johnny polishing it and going to his prom and all stuff. And they wanted to find one that Johnny could use when he goes back to his hometown. Well, like most small towns, the car never left the town. It went to somebody else and it went to somebody else. So it was still there. So NBC bought it and gave it to Johnny. And then after Johnny died, at the reading of the will, there was a letter where he left it to me. So I have that car now. And it's great fun. You can go to Jay Leno's garage and Google it and see it, and it's Johnny's car. And there's footage of Johnny as like a 12-year-old boy polishing it with Simon eyes, you know. And I mean, that's a great story too. So that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, and do some of these stories and some of the experiences over 4 decades, 5 decades in comedy play into what we're going to see tonight?
I hope so. We'll give it a shot.
All right, anything else you want to add?
Well, you know, I'm doing this game show, You Bet Your Life. And what we wanted, you know, most game shows just pick from a pool of people within 30 miles of LA. So there's a sort of, they're not as excited. They're sort of, you know, when you see Brad Pitt in the Whole Foods every weekend, it's not that exciting to be in television, you know. So we want to get people from, well, from this area, from Waterloo and Cedar Falls. You know, go to youbetyourlife.com. And it'll tell you how to be a contestant. We fly you out, we pay for your hotel, and we put you on the show. And it's really fun because you get a real energy there. We get people from the Bayou, from Maine. We got a guy from Nigeria the other day, somebody else from the Congo, all over the place, up in Maine. And just don't be from the neighborhood, you know. And they get in, they're all excited, they're on TV, they're in LA, they're looking around all the time. And it really makes for fun contests.